welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the TRX4M maintenance series, as it is officially. We are going to keep trucking here. We're going to go ahead and dig into the transmission. We're going to service that up, lube everything, get it all hunky-dory, and yeah, I'm ready to go, so let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, a little bit experimental here because I'm in the new spot and I'm trying a different way of doing this. But the next thing we're going to do is take the transmission out of here. So we'll get started with that. The first thing we want to do is we're going to remove the battery tray. It's held in by 2 screws, one where my finger is, and then 2 up here. And then it kind of wiggles out from inside the C channel here. So we'll go ahead and do that next. All right, now that the battery tray is out of the way, we're going to focus on the 4 screws that hold down the transmission. That is 1, 2, 3, and 4. With those 4 screws removed, you should be able to pop the transmission out. And if you have the drive shaft connected, it should come apart and you'll have your transmission right there. The next thing that we'll want to do is we will want to remove both of the drive shafts, or the half shafts, from the transmission. You can see those 2 little screws right there holding them in, and then we can take off the 4 screws on the front of the transmission and start removing the gears. All right, with the screws off, the drive shafts will pull just, there you go. Now we'll take off these 4 screws on the front. Okay, so these here, you'll notice that my 1.5 millimeter here is slipping or stripping. So we'll have to switch to the 1/16. Also, accidentally clipped a wire. That's to the little fog lights, so we'll be doing some soldering later, but I don't think I'll record that. All right, the 1/16 seems to bite in just fine. All right, there goes the 4 screws. Should be able to hopefully hold that gear in. And now we can see what's inside here. So there are gears. Yeah, I think those are focusing all right. And here are the bushings inside the transmission. Honestly, these probably won't need to come out. We might be able to just lube these up. And these gears don't seem to be very dirty or anything like that, so we may also be able to just get away with a little bit of grease in here. Dry as a bone though, so we'll definitely want to add some grease. I am going to go ahead and take these gears out just to show you how the stack works in this transmission, because it is kind of like a stack. So the first gear is the one at the very bottom. It's connected to the shaft that powers your drive shafts and eventually your wheels. The next one is this one here. Take that out. And then the very last one is this guy on the bottom. You can take that out. So now we can get in there and we can lube those bushings as well. All the bushings have had a nice little 3-in-1 bath. We are going to go ahead and start putting the gears back in. So probably the best way to do this would be to just to make sure you get grease on everything, would be to put maybe the first one in. I don't know, I've never done it like this before, but then put a little grease. It should travel throughout pretty easily, but I think we'll do it 1 gear at a time. So there's that one. Next up is this guy. We can grease that little juncture. It's a little bit hard to do without both of the transmission halves on, because that's what holds the gears steady. Last but not least, there we go. Just kind of pack some grease on these teeth now, because why not? All right, we got those all put together. Now we take the outside of our transmission case and we slide it on. And boom, you just put your 4 screws back in and do everything backwards of the way you did it. All right, and there is our transmission put back together. Everything is working. It actually feels pretty smooth. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the rear axle now and the rear suspension. I'm not gonna film any shocks. That's all in the first video, but we will knock out this axle. Okay, so taking our rear axle off is going to be very similar to how we took off the front axle. We are going to take off, we're going to unscrew the shocks at the bottom. That'll let these links go. And then there's a screw right up here that needs to come out. And then we'll have to take the drive shaft off. All right, now that the rear axle is unattached, we're going to remove the drive shaft by removing that screw, and we're going to pop off our hexes and put the hexes and pins in a safe place. Then we'll be able to dig inside of here. Okay, so on the rear axle there is I think only 8 screws that we'll have to worry about. We have these 2 right here. You can see those. Those hold in this bushing and the actual drive shaft that's in there. Same deal here. 2 on there plus that. And then the 4 here to do the diff, similar to how we did the front diff. So we can pull these out. I hope all this like shaking is not messing up my microphone. I really need a mic stand. But okay, so once you get these out, these guys are really short. So be careful not to lose them. Really short little screws. But then we should be able to just yoink that out just like that. And we can do the same on the other side. There's our main gear. In here, that's the spider gear, or whatever it's called. I'm sure there's a, if you guys have a proper name for it, let me know. All right. Now we'll just wrestle out these bushings, loop them up just like how we did on the front axle. Yikes, that guy's in there tight. Don't stab yourself. There we go. We're going to start with these. All right, so we have our axle, or at least the differential, put back together. All of the bearings have been lubed, bushings, excuse me, and the gears have been greased, so we can put the cover back on. Also, sorry if there is an audio change, but I didn't realize that my microphone was not plugged in. So we were using the camera mic, which historically has not sounded that great. We're always learning here. Anyway, we can pop the screws in, lube up the bushings on the these axle shafts, or whatever they call these things. Drive shafts that go in the axle. Get those all lubed up. Put all our screws back. And Bob is your uncle. You'll be all done after that. Helpful tip, especially on this rear axle, if there's dirt in the screw, get it out with something before you start trying to unscrew it, or screwing it in, or whatever. Nothing strips like a dirty hex screw. All good. I'm going to finish putting this together, and then we'll move right back into putting the whole truck together. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to reattach that rear axle. The first step, really, after you have the axle put back together with the drive shaft included, you're going to take these outermost, oh, here we go. Well, you're going to take these outermost links and you're going to feed them into this top portion of the drive shaft and run a screw through. The screw is going to run on the side with the thinner piece of plastic and screw into the thicker piece of plastic. After that, we can attach the other links. And the way that's done is you'll see right here that we have this little spot for these links to go into. So you'll do a little fiddling, get it in there. You may even want to have the shock like ready to go with the screw in it, but you'll take the screw and you'll run it through the shock and then all the way through. Once you get it, you got it. And you just screw it in. Do the same thing with the other side and the rear axle is reattached to the chassis. Okay, so for the front axle, we're going to want to go ahead and have everything attached. So I went ahead and I put the servo on, and I went ahead and made sure that my little half axle over here was on. So this side's just a little bit more tricky. We're basically going to have to get these links in these little holes. You can kind of see under the servo there. Maybe better that way. There we go. And we're going to have to run the screw through the servo mount, then the axle, then the link itself. So if you thought the rear end was finicky, this is going to be a little bit more finicky. So now, once that screw is through and those top links are secure, we can go ahead and do similar to how we did on the back. The link goes through here, and then the shock will go in front of that, and the screw goes all the way through. So kind of like this. I don't know if I can do it on camera, but I'm going to try. There you go. Sort of like that right there. Boom, boom, boom. And you'll just screw it down. Ta-da! Repeat it on the other side. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and... So we can do two things here. We can put the steering link on and get that all set up. Or we can go ahead and put the transmission in. I think I'm going to go ahead and just drop the tranny in there. So there's a reason I leave these on. We can kind of flip them up like that and just drop the transmission shafts right into these. Screw it down and we're done. So just make sure that when you're looking at this, you know it's going to sit in there like that. But yeah, put it in, pop your 4 screws in, get everything lined up, and I mean, we're almost done now. Okay, now for the steering link. You'll notice that it kind of sweeps up. It's kind of hard to see there. What that is it will go in here and sweep up towards the servo. So it goes in the knuckles, it kind of goes up towards the servo horn, back down, and into this knuckle. You'll pop those screws in, and you got a steering link. Now you can go ahead and reroute your wires through the battery tray. So they'll go under, come up through here, back down through here, up through this little clip, and then into the ESC receiver combo. You can re-zip tie them to the frame over here if you would like. I'm not going to. And then your 2 screws go in and hold that down. After that, I mean, really, it's all about putting your wheel hexes on, wheels, tires, body, battery back in, and you've done it. You've reassembled your TRX4M. And I didn't put the lights back in because I was a crazy person and accidentally cut my lights. But whenever I do want to put some lights in there, I have these here in order to pop that in. So when I replace those, that's where they'll go. All right, everybody. So we have taken apart, serviced, and put back together our TRX4M. For those of you that may be doing this the first time, or for those of you that maybe just aren't as experienced or aren't as comfortable taking apart and putting back together your RC car, I hope this video was helpful. If So I tried to make it as detailed as I could without it being like excruciatingly boring. If you do have any questions, I mean, the comments are there, and another really helpful resource that I should have mentioned at the beginning was the exploded view that comes in the user manual for like every RC car. It's an indispensable tool. I use it all the time, so definitely look into that. If you like any of the tools that I used and are looking for them, because I get a lot of comments like this, like, hey, where'd you buy that? This Dynamite tool is really good, especially for the TRX4M. I love it a lot. It's just really, really good, useful, handy. I'll link that in the description. Maybe the green slime, anything else that seems like you guys might need it, I'll go ahead and put in the description. But that's it for the TRX4M. So I really hope this video was helpful. If you liked the video, give it a like. And if you like this type of content, you should subscribe. I think that's it for today, though, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.